Scratcd.
Let's do this!
I feel like we just did that like minutes ago.
That's how good it is.
It was that good.
Every time you hear it, it's like the first time.
Do we mean it this time?
I think so. Ladies and gentlemen of the Scratcd universe, please say hello to the co-host of Trampled Underfoot. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Lindsay.
Oh, not that guy.
Mark.
Not that guy. All he is a mustache.
It's funny because the way that you guys are on my screen, it's Mark and Eloy in the middle of me and Rory are the bookends. So it's like trampled and like dirt and Doc on the outside.
On mine, it's Rory and I at the bookends, and you and Mark in the middle.
Is Mark on this side of me or on this side of me?
Mark is on your left-hand side.
So this side.
Yeah.
Is it like the Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
The Brady kids.
Yeah.
The Brady kids.
I made a Brady Bunch reference the other day to a younger crowd of coworkers, and it fell on deaf ears. And I was like, man, it's like I'm getting to be like the curator at the museum here, huh? Right?
Welcome to my world.
Oh, yeah. No, you know, it's these things are slowly starting to happen. Like, I was like, oh, because I always ask myself, does that make me feel old? No. Does that make me feel old? Maybe a little.
I just want to say to our audience, because they could start jonesing for Bales. I do want to report that Bales is officially now in Africa, and he took a bunch of pictures. And I do want to say that he replied to one person because he was thinking of one person alone, and that was me. It was a cut down, but just the same, you know, it is revealed that he is missing me and not Rory or Doc. Just want to say that to you know, the audience and Bales so that he knows.
I wouldn't have expected anything different, to be honest with you.
But it was such a harsh cut down. He said something, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what he said, but yeah, you know, you accept it.
It was basically like the same stuff he says all the rest of the time, except he did it walking like an Egyptian.
It's like he's not even gone.
Yeah. I love that he's throwing up posts on the interwebs there.
He's probably throwing up.
One word. Pyramids.
Yeah.
Egypt.
And he's probably throwing up too, because you can't drink, you can't do this, you can't ice cubes, nothing.
He's good.
5-star motel. They're serving him bottled water on silver trays.
He's drinking Fiji water.
It's funny because last thing I'll say about this, and we'll find out more after this is all done. He'll probably say like 2 words extra, but the first shot was of the pyramids, and it's like awe-inspiring, the pyramids. But you just look slightly down 2/3 into the photo, and it's just like a full-on hotel with everything like
buffet, right? There's like a buffet with like an ice swan at the end of it, and a watermelon shark, and like
swing sculptures.
Yeah,
yeah, pink flamingo, plastic flamingos.
It looks like you're at like a really, really fancy wedding, and then they put a backdrop.
It's like Bales is 007.
Yeah,
imagine him walking around with the white tuxedo on with a martini.
Not in that country.
No,
doing a little eyebrow thing, lifting his one eyebrow up around.
So, Mark, does this feel any different than Trampled Underfoot podcast?
I'm just happy to be out without a helmet on, you know.
Yeah, thanks for not wearing it, by the way.
I'm upright, I'm dressed, and no, it's not like Trampled, but I knew it wouldn't be, and that's fine. I know you guys have a sense of decorum here that's a little bit different, so I'll just kind of hang back in the background. You know, I'm the kind of person that gets to know somebody, gets to, you know, get the feel of the place before I drop to the ground and fake an epileptic seizure. I'm not going to do that as an icebreaker.
Good. Pinky's out, Mark. Pinky's out. Act as if.
Now, then it looks like you're picking your nose.
Keep your pinky where it belongs.
I am picking my nose. Thank you.
So I was talking. Oh,
Mark,
go
you're
ahead.
in Oregon.
Yes, sir, I am.
What part of the state?
The southern part, I'm almost as far south as you can get without actually being in California. I'm about 30
Oh,
miles off
really?
of the border, right on Interstate 5. Yeah,
So are you on the west side?
the west side of the Cascades, but that's about it. Yeah,
How do you
southwest.
like it?
I was born here. It's home. It's what I've known forever.
You were born in that house?
No, not in this house. About 11 miles down the road.
Wow.
So yeah,
Dang. So has your whole family been there?
yeah. I'm fourth generation here, so it's
Wow.
craziness. That's what I tell the kids. I tell my grandkids, be very careful who you date. You may be related. The family's been here since the 1860s, and it's a small town.
You don't want to end up with your family tree being a wreath.
I'm serious. Exactly. The tree of life. I know the branches looks like they meet the roots, but that is not an instruction manual.
And I noticed you're a CNC guy.
Well, I play one on YouTube, but I've built 3 and have fun with it. But be honest with you, that's probably only about just a fraction of what I like to do. I'm all over the place.
Right on.
So, yeah, I have fun with it.
Mark is a patient teacher. I think the little bit I know about Mark, that seems to be his bread and butter. Mark can explain things to people in a manner that even if you didn't know what they were talking about, they might be able to get. Which I appreciate, because I can't do that, because I start using jargon and pointing, and then I use like nicknames and colloquial terms, and then people are like, "What are you talking about there, bud?" I was like, "Oh yeah, English, sorry."
Well, it's using jargon is okay as long as you explain what that jargon is in a way that people actually get it. If you just start talking, if you just start throwing out technical terms like a lot of people do, then people just kind of look at you with that deer in the headlights look.
Yeah, that's it.
But if you can explain what the jargon is to where a person is walking around the house using it, then you're doing your job. I have fun with that too. I never set out to do software tutorials. I just kind of fell into it.
And may I add, while a lot of people are feeling the crunch of the YouTube assassination squad, because things are not the same as they used to be on YouTube at all, as far as views.
Assassination squad.
There's an actual assassination squad. It's a virtual one, but the results are just as deadly. Well,
they're like YouTube hunters.
They destroy their channel eaters.
Eaters.
Wow. I just want to throw out there that I lost my AdSense before it was cool.
Oh yeah, Doc was like the original. But while a lot of channels are facing issues and this and that, Mark is going in the other direction of increasing in significant ways. It's an amazing thing to watch because he's focused on tutorials and people are responding. I could say you agree with that, yeah, Mark?
Well, I think what it is you're seeing an alternative. You know how you can find those channels where you've got like 10 hours of relaxing music that people go to sleep to?
Yeah,
love them.
I think I'm real big with the Insomniacs. I think.
I'm gonna have to try that, Mark.
I think they kick on one of my tutorials, and 10 minutes later,
what was it? The BBC shipping the weather?
the
maritime weather. Oh, that's so good! It's so good. I listen to that all the time. Sometimes I listen to that as an exercise just to scramble my brains. If I'm just trying to shut down for 5 minutes and like my brain won't let me that happen, I'll be like, I'll teach you, and I'll put my headphones on and wind south by southwest. Good. I was like, what did he say? I don't. Now you're a little bit more worldly than I am, so maybe you know these places. But for me, it's just like making up Harry Potter stuff. He could be telling me about the weather at Hogwarts when he gets going on that.
And now the shipping forecast.
Yes. Well, there's two guys, right? There's two voices that switch back and forth. There's the one guy with the very deep, slow kind of American delivery. And then the one guy who sounds very, very
Now,
farmy.
are there people that need this channel? Like this is like an important tool?
Oh yeah. This exists. This exists to help. You know what I mean? This is where I guess they run this, and if you're out on ship, it's how you get your weather.
Yeah, it was at one time. It was real important because, England being an island nation, I mean, they had to know where the winds were coming from and how the seas were and things like that out in the Channel and up in the North Sea and it just all over the place. I mean, so it was they broke the coastline up into different areas, Viking, German, Dogger, things like that.
Are these real people saying the weather, or is these automated?
This is real.
Yeah.
Scripted,
this is a real deal, and it just happens that the Insomniac crew is latched onto it.
Yeah,
like Amazon is selling a Siri device that tells you the weather in the ocean, kind of thing. These are like legitimate DJs, is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, this is a guy. They broadcast this, and I'm sure it goes out to many, many media.
Yeah, it's on BBC Radio. I mean, they'll get in and they'll say something like Viking. So the area of the coastline that's nicknamed Viking. Let's say Viking, backing strangely, seas calm. Something like that. And a backing wind means it's going from...
Backing? Good.
It's going counterclockwise.
Is it really a Viking place?
That's the nickname of this one section of the coastline.
Oh, that's awesome. I would want to be in that place.
So.
Roy, I'll throw one on the inside.
It beats the hell out of Dogger. So unless you're in that, it pays to advertise. But
it sounds like a guy you hang out with at the bar. It's like, I'm gonna go get some beers with Dogger after I get a shower. I'll see you guys.
It also sounds like an activity.
It sounds like Frogger, but with a D.
Hey, there's Dogger.
You guys really have not heard of that. Okay, well that's fine.
I heard of that.
Mark, you have to understand, I went to Catholic school. The answer to a lot of those questions was Jesus.
Okay, gotcha. Well, in the UK, I don't know if we should even get into this. In the UK, a Dogger is a person. You've never heard of this at all. It's funny, we're talking about the UK, and then we bring up Dogger. There's an activity called dogging that has to do with public sex.
Oh.
So,
not
use
in
your
America.
imagination, kids. Not in this country.
Oh, they do it here too. It's just not as popular.
Yeah, we just don't have cool nicknames for it. Make it sound kitsch and fun. Oh, he's just dogging. What? Oh, that sounds all right. Okay, never mind.
Around here, they call it not enough money for a hotel.
Yeah, it's just publicness.
So, I saw this video where this guy this family purchased land, a property with a house on it, and there was this huge, like, crate or, just this huge box, and it was sealed, and they bought it, and that thing was out in the yard, and the people that owned the place left, and they opened it up, and it happened to be ingots of silver, stamped and all that, and it was over $400 and something thousand of silver, and crazy stuff like that. They said, well, why would these people, I don't know exactly how it ended up, but the people that bought it kept that extra stuff from the people that sold it. They sold it, with everything on it, and the first people didn't take it. That makes no sense to me, because that's something you'd have in mind when you sell your place. You take your silver stash or gold stash with you.
I know I always take my pirate treasure when I move from home to home.
Well, yeah. I saw that the other day. I thought it was pretty crazy.
That is nuts. It's like, honey, did you remember to grab our treasure? No? Forgot the treasure?
This is why we don't have nice things.
We moved like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and we lost a clothes iron in the move, and we're still talking about it. So I can't imagine if we lost some silver ingots while this was happening. And I'd be like, I don't even know. Maybe they got thrown in the trash.
Those things would be duct taped to my legs.
Hell yeah.
I would have it handcuffed to my wrist like the Blues Brothers. Like, this is not leaving my wrist unless you cut off my hand.
You said like $500,000 worth, $400,000 worth.
Yeah, like 400 and something.
And how big was the pile?
It was, imagine like a big chest that you'd put
Was it
in front of.
overflowing?
No, it wasn't overflowing. It was lined and covered with some sort of material cloth, and then when they pulled back, they have all these minted or stamped ingots, and they said that, well, why would the guy originally purchase silver when it was on the decline for the past X amount of years? As far as on the stock market, it would have been better to this, but at the end of the day, it's a precious metal, so it's like,
Exactly.
it goes up and down, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it was a big ass, something that you'd put in front of your, like a dowry chest in front of the bed or something like that.
So you ain't duct taping that to your wrist, though.
Yeah.
It would still be big enough that I wouldn't forget.
Exactly.
I'd be like, I'm going to go walk through the house one more time. Oh, man, you know what we forgot? What? The box of ingots that we needed a hand truck to get out, or when we put it in here. Yeah, I can't believe we forgot that. How did that slip your mind? Maybe I just didn't feel like lifting it either. They're like, screw it.
That's something you can even pay someone to do it for you, and you still keep the 99% of the money, 99 point whatever percent of the money or value of it. I thought that was fascinating. I also ran into a few more of those Defunctland offhand Disney stuff, which
it's still great.
It's one of the best things that you ever revealed to us. And they now opened the Star Wars section in California.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
Galaxy's Edge. I haven't watched any of it yet.
Yeah. Freaking awesome. They reproduced a whole, like a whole little world, which as a kid, that was my dream, to enter Star Wars, So they did one or the other, and he for the first time shows his face, either Defunctland or the other guy. I don't remember which one, because they've got like 2 or 3 of those channels.
Really?
Yeah.
You wanted to be a Star Trooper?
I wanted
Stormtrooper. Did you just say? Wait. Did you just say Star Trooper?
I said Star Trooper.
Oh man, is this like the Jaws thing?
No, I've seen Star Wars.
Okay, because I'm going to bring up a movie in a little bit, and you're not going to have seen it. It's going to break my heart again a little bit.
I mean,
you know that Chewbacca's in it.
So yeah, so you have to understand, when that Star Wars stuff was going on and we were watching, of course we wanted to be the characters in the thing. I didn't want to be Chewbacca. I didn't want to be Chewbacca. I wanted
you're
Leia.
gonna be like that Fredo guy, that other Cuban guy, Solo's friend. What was his name?
I don't know. That's your generation.
Oh, the guy with the big lips.
I think he had some chops on the sides.
Yeah.
Is that like the Spanish Star Wars?
You're talking about Lando's buddy, right?
Is that a Star Wars?
Star Wars.
I never saw a Star Wars.
That's pretty funny, like Star Wars.
My favorite character was always Han Solo. That was like the one, followed by the lead dude. But Han Solo was the one.
Lando. That's who I was talking about.
Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
That's everybody wanted to be Lando.
I thought you were talking about Lando, the guy that drove the ship with Lando. There was that little dude that drove. I thought that's who you were talking about. Yeah, Lando.
Lando brought an awesome twist to the thing, because he was part of the rebellion, but he was a traitor.
Sold him out.
Or better said, it's not necessarily that he had to take his rebuttal to him being a traitor was, listen, I have a whole city I have to protect. I can't be being an adventurer like you guys and have all these people die. So Lando did the best thing he could, but at the end he made up for it in Return of the Jedi.
Yes, I haven't seen the new one where Donald Glover plays young Lando. But one thing I did see from that was there was a picture of like young Lando's closet, and it was like all these flashy colored capes in there, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what Lando's closet would look like. It would have many multicolored capes.
You sure this wasn't a documentary about Kanye West?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Pimpin'.
Yeah. Oh
Straight
yeah.
up. Pimpin'.
Yeah.
Is that an
Good morning,
alternate?
beautiful.
No, that's young. That's the guy that plays young Lando in the new movies.
Is that the one that plays Lando in the Han Solo one?
Yeah.
Was that any good?
I watched it one time, but I didn't. It didn't take. It looked good. It looked like it was worth a second watch. I will say that.
We're talking about Solo movie?
Yeah.
I saw it. I liked it. I was
Yeah.
entertained.
It looked, like I said, it looked like it was worth a second watch. It's one of those things that one time when I feel like watching some movies, it's one of the things I might pull the trigger on.
Have you guys ever seen Red Letter Media?
Red Letter Media. No.
Mr. Plinkett?
Mr. Plinkett.
Okay, so back when the first Star Wars happened, of the new, the new stuff, I forget the names of the new Star Wars, and it started in the early 2000s. There's a channel that opened up that they're critics and movie lovers and whatnot, and they rose to like viral video status back to back. And there's a series where they explain why Star Wars sucks, and it's very intricate. Basically like offhand Disney or whatever, all that. He does that kind of thing, but he really goes into detail of all the inconsistencies of Star Wars. It's very entertaining. He shows all the background footage and people interviews and all that. And he makes a solid point that Lucas, he lost the plot. And it was all about selling toys and this and that. And he really makes a strong argument the way he puts it together. It's very entertaining. I recommend watching that. And they're actually very, they'll curse and it's just really good. So I would recommend that.
Cool.
Could you imagine your career and somebody is picking it apart, telling you how you did it wrong, and have dedicated all this time?
Are you reading your comments?
Well,
right?
you are internalizing. Yes, it's a nasty thing to have to go through, but at the same time, people love their original Star Wars.
Just sounds to me like every mother-in-law ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I dig that. Yeah.
I mean, ever.
So yeah, that's a good one to see. And the other thing I wanted, so the other day I was talking to Daniel Harju, and I don't know we got into the conversation, but it seems that he works also with cemetery stuff. Like he takes care of
cemetery.
Did you guys know that?
I did. He is the cemetery commissioner for his county.
So that just makes Harju even another level of interesting and cool. Although it's kind of creepy at the same time, but somebody's got to do it.
I think he may be the Osiris. I think Dan meets you on the other side and helps you get to where you got to get.
Yeah.
There's yeah.
Yeah, but Dan, it would be like, get your ass over here. Come on.
No, yeah. Well, I got time for this. Let's go.
Right. I got 3 beds to do. I got a guy over here breaking table saw blades. Let's go.
Yeah. The whole time spinning a hand rolled.
Well, we were talking about, that he does and stuff, and we were talking about coffins and whatnot,
with
and
tobacco.
that. What's that?
I said with tobacco. I didn't want to set him up to sound. We don't condone the use of drugs on this show, kids.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the story at hand.
Well, but wait a second. But tobacco's still whatever. So it's just not the hard stuff, right?
Dangerous drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Remember, taking only one pot can lead to
many
bad things happening.
Great ideas.
Well, you can't do anything on pot except eat and vegetate. Let's be honest.
I don't know. So some of my best ideas have come from the devil's lettuce.
Okay, I call bull.
Call bull?
Well, I don't call bull. I just call. So the ideas are awesome while you're there, but after the fact, it's like, oh, why bother? See, here's the thing. I'll just say this: the Beatles, they were heavy into smoking the reefer back in the day, especially during the Rubber Soul albums. And the thing about that was that they said, man, we would smoke it and then we'd be playing and practicing and this, and we'd come up with brilliant stuff and we'd go and record while we were on it. And when we'd listen back, it was all crap. The Beatles said that. They realized that while they were playing and using it,
sucked. That's what they realized.
That they sucked while on it.
They were like, how did we make this a career? Oh my God, listen to us.
They probably did think that, man, this really sucks, but man, let's keep going. No, it was more like they couldn't get it together, man. But neither here nor there.
Well, that's just one example. Results vary user to user.
Results do vary from user to user. You're right.
I'm sure there's plenty of bands that take pot and then play fine.
Well, I guess so. If you're like, well, look at Bob Marley. That's
it helps, editing video.
Did you ever see the band's Last Waltz, their last concert? Yeah. If you ever watched the documentary of it, the beginning of that is them. They pass around like 10 joints before the concert talking about it, and then they go out and play.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bob Marley is the perfect example. Because, I mean, you'd see the control room if you ever look at the footage, and there's like a cloud, and they're saying, "Steer it up," and it's like a cloud, and the control, you can't even see the dials, nothing, and they're just in a big cloud. It's freaking awesome.
Wasn't there a rumor about Jimi Hendrix had stuff in his headband?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was purple acid.
Yeah, we used to hear that back in the 60s.
That was supposed to be Monterey, I think, right?
Someone
gave him some acid and he just put it in his headband
and sweat it into his body.
Yeah, yep. Would absorb it that way.
Yep.
Jimi Hendrix doesn't suck.
That was going on. That rumor was going around in the 60s and 70s. So
yeah, that's when I first heard it too.
But more often than not, I remember back in the day with my friends, we'd have all these creative ideas, and then we'd be Smokey to Toki to Smokey, and then we'd sit on the couches in one of their living rooms, whoever it was, and we'd have our guitars or instruments, and we just really end up watching MTV and like talking a bunch. That's really what ended up happening.
Focused. I mean, if you focus, it gets you going down a whole other path.
Okay, well, fine.
You can't be like, oh, cool, Game of Thrones, woo!
What was that, Shiny? Hey, you know what we should do? But we should go and we should buy Mountain Dews and Doritos. Yes.
Why?
Because they're stoned.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah, that happens, but I agree with the good right man from Colorado that you just gotta not do that.
Well, I'm getting a contact high just talking about it.
Well, that YouTube channel you shared where they're reading the weather, the ocean's going to get very interesting later.
Yeah. I have a question, Rory. If you played that for the bird, do you think she'd pick up the accent?
She's all excited. 32. Because
that would be awesome.
No barking.
Or if you could get her to talk like a stewardess. Bing! Please stay in your seats until...
So I just wanted to say, to wrap up the Harju thing, he told us a story that there's Civil War graves there. But I asked him, well, do they go 6 feet like traditionally? And he says, well, in some cases, they can't go 6 feet back in the day and this and that. And there's this whole cemetery. And he says that sometimes while they go through, areas will just collapse because it's ground, a little bit of dirt. You've got your coffin, and then you just sink and break into the thing. That was a pretty creepy. Cemeteries are creepy, dude.
Yeah, you've never seen anybody in a cemetery with a trench whacker to tamp the dirt down. There's no compaction when they dig those holes and fill them back in. It's just dig, fill, and you can imagine what the ones that were, dug by hand.
Oh yeah. You can't go down if you hit rock or whatever the terrain is. It becomes a difficult sort of continue. You can't go down that far in also, I just found it fascinating,
You know what I find fascinating, Eloy, are people who look like they came from coffins and are going to be our new Batman.
What the heck's going on here?
Sparkle
Robert
vampire.
Pattinson, Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy?
How does Mrs. Dirt feel about that?
Oh, I'm heartbroken. I so badly wanted Ben Affleck to come back.
Not me.
It's not gonna happen, man.
Not
Look,
me.
that's Bruce Wayne. Look at him. That's what Bruce Wayne looks like.
That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap.
He looks hungry. That's what he looks like.
No, he looks like a little kid.
He looks rich and neurotic.
No,
Well,
dude.
he's got 2 years to bulk up.
He'll be a monster. They'll put him on the Mexican supplements. He's going to be a monster of America. Can you imagine standing next to Jason Momoa? He's going to be like, I better do some diamond push-ups quick.
Right?
That guy's been doing creatine and pull-ups for the last 3 weeks since they announced it.
Who was he on on Twilight?
He was Twilight.
Oh, that's the guy that romances the chick?
Yeah, the lip biter girl.
And he's gonna be freaking Batman?
The Batman.
Oh. I mean, that's why I can't watch them.
Aloy, if they would have told you that Aquaman was gonna be a badass, what would you have said to him? He would have been like, I don't think so. But I think the new Aquaman's pretty badass.
Oh, the new Aquaman is badass. But
yeah. So I mean, sometimes they pull a rabbit out of their hat. There it is. Look, I told you that Chad would catch it.
What the hell?
I just had a comment come from Chad about our we'll call it a bulk. I balked. At least he comments.
So Mark, are you a Batman fan?
It all went downhill after Adam West.
That's my man. Look at Mark. Look at that. Look, the one true Batman.
That's it.
The one true Batman. The Light Knight.
That's right. It all went downhill after Adam West. So just calm yourself, citizen. Nothing to see here.
I love when I think it's in the movie where they park the Batmobile. He parallel parks the Batmobile, and then they go running in, and then Batman feeds the meter, and Robin's like, "Shouldn't we just be running in?" And he's like, "Robin, these tolls pay for the roads that us citizens use every day." Like, it was like a little sideways PSA. I was like, "Yeah." That's right, Adam West. Let him know.
You want some good entertainment? They have a compilation on YouTube. I don't know whose channel it's on, but it's a compilation of them scaling buildings and people popping out the window. I mean, everybody from, Liberace to Jerry Lewis to Bill Dana. My name, Jose Jimenez, that guy. I mean, everybody. It's hilarious. It's good entertainment. It's fun stuff.
That's my favorite TV show. If I had to watch one thing forever, it would be that. I still haven't purchased the DVD collection, but me and my dad keep talking about going halves on it.
That's entertainment. I'd have to look into that.
I think there's how many seasons were there? I used to know the answers to all this. It got weird towards the end. They started throwing out weird villains.
Oh yeah.
I've seen every episode though, at least twice, 3 times. There was a wonderful moment where they were on YouTube, but I think Fox owned all that, and they kept a pretty tight lid on it.
So Mark, did we go to the moon or not?
Oh,
us personally?
Scratched. Lunar Scratched. If it's come up again, man, I think we should try to make our presence felt on the moon.
And even worse, chemtrails.
Chemtrails on the moon?
Are they real or not?
On the moon, I don't think so.
But on Earth, they are.
That's not what I said. No, they're not. I will take a position. No, they're not.
Three seasons of the original Batman, by the way.
Yeah, but did you see how many episodes that was?
Oh, there was tons of them.
Yeah, like 100 episodes or something.
There was a wonderful moment when I was young that came on after dinner, 2 episodes. It was 6:30 to 7:30, You got, and they usually ran in succession when they were running them with cliffhangers.
Mm.
Tune in, same bat time. I think that was Mike Dozier. I think that's the Bill Dozier. I think that's the first name you see when it's like when it comes in. He was the like executive producer, but he was also the voice.
Yep.
Gotham City at night. Playground. Oh man, so good.
Yep. Loved it. It was cheesy as heck, and you knew it. But see, you were catching the reruns. I remember when it was on; it was brand new, and I thought that Batmobile was the coolest thing that ever invented. Man,
it still is.
I wanted something that threw flames out the back end of it. It could be a piece of trash Volkswagen, but if it threw flames out the back end of it, that was the car for me.
That was cool.
George Barris did that car, man.
Yep. Yep.
What was the movie where Marky Mark played the rock star guy?
You're out of my league there. I don't know.
Anyway, he basically plays a guy that blows up in a metal band, and that was like the one thing in the movie I agreed with. Like when he got paid, he bought himself that car, and he was driving like through Hollywood in the Batmobile, and I was like, that's exactly what I would do if someone gave me a big check.
Yep. I passed the Batmobile twice up in Lake Tahoe, driving around on the street, and I'd have a camera with me. This was pre-cell phone. And I'm driving into Lake Tahoe to go service a slot machine in a little bar, and it passed me, and I'm like, that was the Batmobile. That was the Batmobile, and I got no camera. How many times in your life do you see a Batmobile? Well, I got to that bar, and I fixed the machine, turned around and came out, heading back down the hill to go into Carson City, and it was coming the other direction twice the same day. It's like, well, that answers that. You see it twice. Yeah.
And sure enough, another Batmobile. Yeah. I think my love for 66 Batman has been well talked about on this podcast. As a matter of fact, Eloy, here's something funny for you. I remember back in the original incarnation of Scratch, you guys talking about Batman, and me and Wilkie got into it for about 20 minutes on Messenger one time, talking about Adam West. And he's like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, no, and I will come on anytime you want. And then I think whatever happened. But I think at one point I was coming on to debate the one true Batman.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I was like, Adam West all day long. You didn't even mention him.
Yeah, because Wilkie liked the rough and tough, I don't think... Did Wilkie like the what's this guy's name? The guy that I don't like as Batman?
Yeah, I think he likes Batfleck.
Oh, yeah, Batfleck is horrible, dude.
Yeah. But going back to Sparkle Vampire Batman, I agree with a lot of the comments that I read when reaction. It sounds exactly like the backlash of when they announced Michael Keaton was going to play Batman. It was like, oh, no, not that guy. And I was like, Michael Keaton was actually a very good Batman.
Yeah, he was, although he doesn't match the
Michael
persona.
Keaton is not shiny vampire boy. Michael Keaton is Michael.
Vampire.
Michael Keaton is the man. That's Michael Keaton.
He wasn't the man, though, at that point. He was slowly becoming the man, but he was not the man. He was still Mr. Mom at that point.
Mr. Mom's a great movie.
I take nothing away from Mr. Mom, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
I watched it last week, actually.
No
Dedication.
way. You did not.
I did. My favorite scene is where he's having the TV drama Daydream.
Oh yeah,
it's him and one of his wife's girlfriends that he's hanging out with all these other women. She's actually stalking him, trying to seduce him, and he's overcome by her. And
if I don't get this. If I were to, like, let's say Netflix or whatever, and I see the title Mr. Mom, that's like a you could count on it every time. I'm gonna pass that one up just by. I am very judgmental, but just by title alone.
Yeah, but then right below it says Michael Keaton 1980 whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm listening.
No, I'm more into the horror genre, and it's got to be a cool type of horror.
So you're not a fan of any actor or actresses?
Like a fan?
Yeah, like you got somebody. Oh shoot,
Johnny Depp.
No.
I really like his movies. Nothing like that. Benicio del Toro.
I like I like the actual part of the
Shatner.
movie that
Jim
Well, no.
Carrey.
Well, no, I like the actual part of the movie that it's the construction of the movie. How I don't. I like the overall product, not because of one person or the other. Although there's
Okay.
talented
I'll
people.
give you an example. Mine is Tom Cruise. If he's in it, chances are I'm going to like the movie. Do I like him as a person? Not from what I've read. But I'm usually safe with a Tom Cruise movie.
Did you like The Mummy that Tom Cruise was involved in?
For what that project was, as it was not a reboot of the other Mummy franchise, something completely different, it works.
I can't believe it.
But the
Okay,
marketing that they did was terrible because it looked like a reboot.
I just hated that movie. It sounded like it was going to be good as you began it, and then you saw what it turned into. Just the airplane part and the just.
It's just fun. It's not a documentary. Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise.
All
Yeah.
right. So being that we're talking about movies now, I'm gonna let Mark jump in, and we're gonna recreate a previous conversation that we had.
I'll be right back. Continue with that.
Now, Mark, what did you do today?
What did I do today?
Yeah, weren't you working on?
I was working. I was working out in the yard. We moved our swimming pool over a little bit, about 4 feet. We have an above ground pool. Then I had to cut out some sod and lay a yard of sand.
Right. So when you told me that, it reminded me of the scene in Fletch Lives, which is the second sequel to Fletch. And he's like, naturally, by the time I got home, my head was full of decorating ideas. And I figured the least I could do was move the pool closer to the house because he was drunk and he just rammed into it. And then I was thinking to myself, I bet you Rory has no clue who Fletch even is. Or do you know who Fletch is?
You would be correct. I do not know.
Eloy.
Excellent movies.
Do you have any feelings on Chevy Chase as Fletch?
I haven't seen that movie since it came out on VHS.
Those are good movies.
I mean, I don't remember the details. I never liked Chevy Chase. I'm sorry.
I think you may have confused Rory even more when you said Chevy Chase, because isn't that a city?
It is. I wired the CVS there, actually.
See, it's funny because as time progresses, certain people, depending on what their folks and parents and bigger brothers and sisters were watching, or whatever the case might be, or if you even had television reception, because remember, Rory lived in a mountain.
Oh my God! Stop it,
Rory. Well, look, and you know what?
They had to climb up on top of the telephone pole, like in Green Acres, when they wanted to call each other.
Oh, higher!
Mr. Zipple would come over.
Well, no, it all depends on people's, throughout the timeline of history, what they were, exposed to. Maybe their older brother left them a record or a VHS tape, stuff like that as it progressed. So some people might not, Rory might not be a big Chevy Chase aficionado.
We have no idea. You're just basing where I grew up that I wouldn't have access to the modern world.
You are locked in an area where it snows up in mountains, and it's in the middle of the country, and it's an isolated area, which is very beautiful. But you told us that one time you came down from the mountain.
Yeah, but everyone can see the dance of the slow grace hands of Eloy right now.
Yeah, it's not like he went to school on horseback. I mean,
no, you haven't. No,
that was only
Rory
Mondays. Okay,
They took a wagon.
No,
The horse
Rory
pulled the wagon, but
No, we've talked about this before, and by the way, I think it's the best thing that could have ever happened to Rory. More technology for us. No, Rory was up in the, and then as he became older and sufficient, he entered the city areas, and then he discovered cultures of people, and all these things. But he was stealing cars up in the mountain, and that was his entertainment. He's told us the stories.
Oh, Eloy, I think I'm having an epiphany right now. You are correct.
No, well, it's not like you were 100% isolated.
I was like Hillbilly Mountain Grand Theft Auto.
Bing, 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 doo, doo.
I think it's the best thing that could have happened, Rory, because there's nothing good going down from the mountain into the city. It's all frickin' decadence.
Just bigger dump trucks, baby.
Well, yeah. So he might not have gotten the Chevy Chase.
No,
He might have chased
definitely
the
should.
He might have chased the Chevy, but he never got the Chevy Chase. So
You should watch those movies too, Rory. Let's put those on your list of suggested Scratcd watching.
So Jaws and Fletch.
Jaws and Fletch. And then if you dig Fletch, Fletch Lives, because Fletch Lives gets a little campy. There's a musical number in it for no reason.
Yeah. But the original Fletch, the first one is, that's entertainment.
And it's a pretty good movie.
Right.
There was actually, I think there's I don't know how many there are. There are quite a few. There's the books. Fletch is actually a book. And at one point, when I was heavy into it, Kevin Smith was trying to actually make a lot of those books into movies. He was trying to remake Fletch at one point, I think with Jason Lee playing Fletch, but like it was going to be different somehow. And thank God they didn't do that.
fascinating.
Yeah, I'm glad we got out of that spate of remaking TV shows. And
This was before that even started.
Was it?
They were going to pick up. These were going to be these were going to be prequels.
Okay.
He was going to do the other books. He wasn't going to do Fletch Lives.
Okay.
I think there's one after that called Fletch Returns or something like that. Like they all had Fletch in the title.
Fletch me another beer. Listen, I don't care about Fletch or Fletch.
What?
I don't care. Don't care. What I care about is frickin' knowing the conspiracy theories that Mark believes or does not believe.
Okay, Mark, do you believe in aliens?
Alien what? I
Alien.
think it's kind of naive of us to think that we're the only thing out there. Now, are they visiting us and walking around, harvesting intestinal gases from people out in the backwoods? I don't think so. But change my mind.
Rory, step up.
What if I agree with him?
I thought you're the big alien guy.
Not the big alien guy.
You're the ghost guy.
I was just trying to help you. I'm trying to kick this off.
I didn't realize I was in for a grill session, but
I was going to interrogate him with conspiracy theory.
Get the light.
That's it.
Ghosts. Rory is a big ghost guy, Mark. He has a device that I don't know if he built it or not. I forget at this point, but he did something with a device where it captures you can go into a room and it'll capture just the sound, and then he'll take it into his computer and run it through some software. And I don't know exactly what he does, but from it,
Is this like an X-Files episode?
What's that?
This is an X-Files episode?
Yeah. I mean, it is what you do.
Dang.
It is what I find it fascinating. That's
Hold
it.
on,
I'm
hold
throwing
on.
down the gloves. I've been trying to play nice here, but you guys are like Fletch this, Fletch that. What the heck are you talking about? Are you trying to put our look? You have told us this story, and now you're backing away from it. I want to see if what you're saying.
No, I'm surprised by your interpretation that I go. You make it sound like I go into this empty room, record dead air, and then I plug it into my computer, and it goes through some programs. That's not it at all.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's what I don't have all the information.
I think I'm doing it wrong. Is that the way you're supposed to do it?
I don't know, but I'd like to hear it from you, and I'd like to hear what Mark sort of replies to it. I want to see that interaction.
Well, how about we rephrase this? Mark, do you have any supernatural experiences?
No, there are things that have happened that I couldn't explain, but
Oh, like what?
Supernatural. Well, years ago, and I've told this story to Eloy, years and years ago, sleeping outside, me and a bunch of friends, sleepover, and was up at my grandmother's house, and it's pitch black outside. I'm away from the city, no light pollution, nothing like that. And I'm laying there on my back in my sleeping bag, trying to go to sleep and failing miserably. And I look up and I see this light just go from horizon to horizon, just nice and slow, just cruising along, way up there. You could tell it was way up there. And I'm 16, 17 years old. I had no clue what the heck that was. There was no flashing lights. It's like, no, it's not an airplane. But I had no clue what the heck this was for years. And it wasn't till I was in my 30s. We were out. My father was kind of a amateur astronomer. And we were out, looking at this globular cluster and this planet and this star system and everything else. And I saw another one. And I said, do you see that? And I pointed up at it. And he looks up and he goes, oh, yeah, that's a satellite. And I'm like, what? He says, yeah, it's a satellite. I mean, it's just in the right position. It's catching reflection off the sun. You see them all the time. So it was like 20 years. I couldn't explain it. I didn't know what it was. But when I saw another one and I got the explanation, it just clicked into play. Okay. And now if I go outside at night here at the house, I see them all the time, So it wasn't supernatural, but I couldn't explain it when I saw it. So that kind of thing.
Well, it's a good explanation, but unless you're right up front to it and see that it's a satellite, it more than likely is a satellite, but could there be things that are up in the sky up there that are supernatural or unexplained? Is there wiggle room for that?
I guess
in your mind.
There could be. I mean, like I say, is there somebody else out there? Probably somewhere. But, I can't say yes. I can't say no because I just don't know. I have to claim ignorance. I haven't seen it. But, then again, I've never seen a mountain gorilla either, but I know they exist.
I think, yeah, but we have, okay. So I guess you're right in that respect. I don't know that I believe we're the only intelligent life in the universe. I believe that you could do percentages, but as far as, let's put it this way, we're the highest evolved at the very minimum. But I think that we're the only ones. I truly do.
Have you seen the Space is Fake people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love reading propaganda like that. That is my favorite thing. The quackier the idea, the more fun it is to read. And what was the one? Birds aren't real.
And Australia is fictitious. That was my favorite. Yeah. There is no such thing as Australia. It's all fictional.
Well, if you think about it, Australia is pretty damn fictional. No, if you think about it, anything that you can come up with that sounds totally weird makes for a possible YouTube video of extended, It
goes down like this. I think that the truth is already so damn strange that when you come up with this stuff, it's like, well, maybe, I don't know, let me read it. Birds aren't real?
Well, you're right, Doc. I agree with that 100%. The truth is already incredibly strange as is. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I say it all the time. Can't make this shit up, man.
Just the fact that we exist is strange enough.
I just think we've kind of reached a low point in society when we refuse to believe in things that we can't do ourselves. There's a lot of things I can't do, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in them. No,
well, that's not the bar. That's not the bar that they set. That's just, the argument of that of well, have you seen it with your own eyes? Is the argument of leaving the preponderance of people that are saying, hey, this is, the true, most sterile and direct sort of scientific approaches for you yourself. And it's kind of an exaggeration, right? Because if we all did that, we'd never. But their argument is like, well, have you? And they're using it as a bouncing point so they could explain whatever their conspiracy is. Oh, well, people know that the sky is blue. Yeah, but wait a second. Have you yourself experimented in why and this and that? So that's kind of why they use that. It's not like the stamp on their argument. It's just like an entry point to get you to understand from their point of view that the space is not real or whatever the heck it is. Like, I'm okay with them trying it. because I get entertained by it.
Yeah, see, I don't. I just like, okay, show me. Just present your case. Maybe I try to keep an open mind. Maybe you can change my mind. My mind's been changed on a few things. But, don't come at me with a bunch of supposition, hyperbole, and, well, if this is this, then that must be that. Well, no, show me. Just show me. If you can show me that the moon is made out of green cheese, maybe I'll believe you. But until that time, I choose to believe that it's made out of rock and dirt and dust and whatever else moons are made of.
I'll just say that there's things that are real that we can't see.
Going to the moon 2024.
Yeah. Well, we can't see. There's certain things that are real that we can't see, but we can measure, but we can't see. And our visual spectrum is different than that of dogs, and beyond living, conscious beings, there's a spectrum of light that's even wider. So there's things that we have to use scientific tools to be able to discover. So the idea that there's unknowns out there is I guess it's the catalyst for people going in all sorts of crazy directions. But there are things unknown, and it is also fantastical, even with what we do know, that's kind of, it should be enough. It's kind of crazy, but people have big imaginations and stuff, and it's just I find it all fascinating.
Well, sure, there are things that exist that we can't see. I mean, the air that we breathe, unless you live in Southern California, then you can see it rather clearly.
Yeah.
Ask Doc. You can't see electricity, but
I was just going to say that, man. That is. I tell people that all the time. I work with an abstract. You're like, what do you mean? I was like, it's an abstract. I can go to a panel and I can grab onto a set of lugs, and if there's no electricity there, I'm fine. You go and flip a switch in another room, grab onto those lugs again, same panel.
Mm-hmm.
You could check out.
That's right. You can measure it. You can check for its presence. You can measure its levels, but you can't see it.
Only in perfect opportunity you can see it. Like when it ionizes in the air, bolt of lightning.
Right.
Are we talking about ghosts again?
I got a question about the ghost thing. Why is it only human ghosts? How come you never hear of dog ghosts or cat ghosts?
Sometimes they do.
When you think about all of the creatures that have ever lived on the earth, we should be up to our hips in ghosts.
I want to hear dinosaur ghosts.
Me too.
I want to hear T-Rex as a ghost.
I don't know that you want to. Hear it, okay, fine. I just don't want it chasing me down the road on a dark night when I got a flat tire.
How come they all speak English?
Or what about having like a dinosaur haunting you? Like, oh man, that raptor's on me again.
Well, the only thing that's haunted me has been one memory of a 7th grade math class, but we won't go into that. That's too painful.
They also have done experiments, and it kind of makes sense, even though it's an awesome thing, where they'll take water, for instance, and they'll actually play music, different types of music to the water. And I think they'll ice it up or something. I don't know but they'll study the crystallization that occurs under different sounds, and it shows different patterns depending on the sound or music that's being played. And you'll see these very intricate, ice crystals forming within the ice and all that. And sound is not something that we could see, but there's literally waves that are traveling through. There's actual waves of energy or sound that are actually traveling from its origin and onward as it dissipates. And that's another force that we can't see with our eyes, but yet it's so real. It's just an amazing thing.
Sure.
I mean, they even play, I don't know if you've seen, like, for their gardens, like they've done experiments like for your garden with the plants. If you play them heavy metal, all the trees, they're like sadness and that after extended play, whatever that is. And if you play them like some classical music and this and that, they flourish. It's an amazing thing.
I'd like to see a double-blind randomized trial on that.
I think the Mythbusters actually tried that one with decent results. Probably not enough. I don't remember it being like, yeah, we knew it, but They had this one tent where they literally had a recording of themselves like just yelling at these plants. It was nonstop. That's what I remember about it.
Do you remember back in the day, your grandma or some older generation that took care of plants? My grandma would always come up and talk to the plants, and she'd say, if you talk to them, they're very, they actually grow and this and that. And then I read sometime thereafter that, of course, when you come up to them and you're talking to them, you're actually feeding them,
carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide. So, of course, they're very, so there's things that, like we've talked about a lot before in the past, that people assume and they kind of get it right, but without knowing the reason for getting it right. So it becomes this mysterious thing, like that example. Or like moving a toilet far away from the kitchen, right? Well, we just don't want the smell here. Well, guess what you also did? You also created a situation where bacteria and disease is frickin' pushed further. So those kind of things, it's interesting how humans, without knowing, solve so many problems. But as far as mystery and all that, I love it. I love it, even the absurd, for a little bit,
I appreciate the absurd more than anything, really.
Well, but the Rory does actually have that as an interest of his, and he'll play back the recording, and then you'll hear actual things occurring.
I am an observer. We go through these experiences, things happen. I can't explain them. I still have my serious doubts, as Mark mentioned and Doc mentioned, why are they all middle-aged white guys that speak English?
Excuse me. If you live in frickin' Indonesia, there's Indonesian ghosts. There really
is. You think it's all just geographical?
Yeah, there really is. If you go to Indonesia and because they have to have ghosts too, I'm sure they don't speak to them in English. I'm sure they speak to them.
What if you like lived in like a colonial area and it was a really, really old ghost and you couldn't even understand them? Like, I don't even know what those words mean.
Yeah, excellent point there. I mean, if there's ghosts all over the place, why are they always out in these old places that are a million miles from anywhere? How come you never hear about the ghosts in downtown, down on Olivera Street, Pedro de Pacas, who died there in 1926 or something like that?
There's Mexican ghosts. Have you heard of Dia de los Muertos and all that stuff? There's a lot of that.
I have, but what I'm getting at is I haven't heard of anybody like in Riverside calling up and saying, yeah, I got a ghost here, but he's speaking Spanish. I don't understand him,
Well, maybe
I'm with Rory on this one. All of them in the continental U.S. seem to speak fluent English and be, absolutely perfect at it. Nobody has a Southern drawl. Nobody has a Texas twang. It's all Oxford English,
Not all ghosts talk either in these situations. So my take on it is, this. I don't think that there's human ghosts. I think that there's evil spirits, which biblically are the fallen. So I believe that that's more to be the case. But if anything, that would be the case. But I've never seen personally anything to suggest. I've never seen any evidence personally of any of that. I've been creeped out. I've been sitting watching, let's say, a movie, and I felt a strange thing right behind, and I turn around. There's nothing. Or I've walked down a dark hall and like hurried up to get to the light. But these are instinctual things that are human. We want to live. We want to protect our shit as much as possible. So we can explain it like that. But I've never seen concrete, a freaking creature standing in front of you. That would pretty much either you're losing your head and you've got some psychedelic thing going, or bam.
Mushrooms.
Or you're 5.
Right.
Or you're 5 and you heard somebody on the radio talking about an atom smasher.
Yeah. What it comes down to, not what it comes down to. My take on that and how these haunted places seem to exist. Well, not my take on it. One of my theories is talk about the law of conservation of energy a lot. You know, the fact that, you know, energy cannot be created or destroyed, just transferred. I think like energy is stuck in these places, or like in these penitentiaries. Like those walls felt so much sadness, and over time that sadness is just stuck there, and
Sad walls.
and it just manifests.
Like
the air is sad.
Sad potatoes.
I mean, the worst. So that could be the worst thing. I think, you know what I think with that? So like I grew up in the house next door, and we were the second family to own it. And it's from the 1940s, that house. My folks purchased it in 1970. And so we've had it more than the original people. But the original people were living there. And the house, I mean, it's like the wood floors, they creak when it's nighttime and the house cools off. It's an older house. I've remodeled it and whatnot, but I have memories in that house. And I'll walk into a room and like a movie in front of my eyes, it'll play out something from the past, you know, just anything, in every location. So I have a connection to the house, and it's like, so that is inside of me, not because of the structure itself. I think I truly believe that. I don't know that there's nothing to what Doc just said, that it penetrates into the thing. I don't know that that's not true. I think that quite could be possibly be true. But I can tell you from an honest point of view, one should discount things that are silly. They should, because there's too much out there, unless they find it entertaining or they want to study. Whatever humans do what they must do because it's their choice to do it. It's okay, but to think that you know for a fact the landscape of life and existence, the universe and everything, and say it with your fist closed and pounding on the table, say, I know how things go and this is how this, and I think that is the worst type of position a human being can have. Even though there's ridiculous out there, I get it, but you can't go forward from a position of, you know, how the shit works in every possible way. It's bad because it closes you off. There's studies that the smartest people think that they're stupid, or that they're so unsure of themselves that they kind of tiptoe and they're cautious about trying to. But dumb people or people with less intelligence tend to think that they know exactly how shit works because they don't have the wherewithal, intelligence to understand that they're not an isolated frickin' and that's an actual experiment that was done. I think it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. It was a big deal. So it shows the more intelligent people are, the more doubt that they have about what they even frickin' know. The less intelligent people are, the more they think they have it all frickin' figured out. So that's an important point to lay on the table.
But you're also missing on arrogance too. There are a lot of smart people that believe dumb things.
Arrogance is there's a lot of, in fact, there is percentages of people, like, I can't mention. So look, humans are complicated, but as far as like a measure, the less intelligent people don't know what they don't know. So they think they know it. They know it all. The more intelligent people think that they know that there's not that they know they don't know everything. That doesn't mean that the intelligent people can't be arrogant, psychopathic, or whatever number of things that fall into human existence. But on just the sheer intelligence spectrum, it's been tested scientifically that people that are not intelligent, very intelligent on the scale, not that they're stupid, they can't turn on a switch and lights, but that the less knowledgeable people are, the more they think they kind of know it all. It's been studied, I think, back in the 70s, and it's like one of the big things that people always refer back to. So I always try by force, because it's easy for one to think, oh, I know how this works. Like whatever, the guitar. Oh, I've got the guitar. I figure out. Well, the truth of the matter is, you could easily try to fool yourself. Oh, because I can play better than this guy. Oh yeah, I'm a freaking badass. And humans tend to want to grab some real estate, and think that they're the bomb, in a certain thing. But I as an example with that, I try to overcome that and realize that I do have limitations. And sometimes you think, oh yeah, I'm a badass and this and that. Oh yeah, look how cool this is. And then you realize, well, wait a second. So you have to try to keep yourself honest. It's hard to do.
Well, if you've ever met anybody that's mastered a skill, like truly mastered it, if you ask them if they know what they're doing, they never say they do. You know what I mean? They'd never be like, "Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing."
I hope they're humble about it.
Usually, I'm saying people that truly, truly, truly know, not the the people that talk it as much. To truly know, they know enough to know that they don't know shit.
Yeah. So it's better to have an ongoing conversation. Like I have positions and I always state them to you guys in a way that maybe comes off as like, oh, he thinks this 100%. But my true point is that I'm pushing to see what comes back at me, to hear, to sort of, the idea is to learn more and to see, oh, well, maybe am I that right? I'm going to force this one and see how far I can take this to see, like I'm actually, and not always, but when we're talking about something that we don't know if it's true or not, I'm always pushing to see what people, I just love doing it like that, but it doesn't mean that I believe that the frickin' moon was flat and that, the Klingons visited.
Flat moon.
We haven't done that one yet.
Yeah. That's it. That's our thing. That's our thing. Hashtag flat moon.
Flat moon.
I'm writing that down right now. Eloy, you're a genius.
Wait a second.
Stop drilling. We hit oil on the flat moon.
Hey, wait a second. Did we just come up with a new conspiracy? Get on it. Get on.
That's our own.
We just invented the flat moon.
The moon is flat.
Nope. Rory just Googled it. It's a thing.
Oh,
of course it is.
Oh shit, look at it there.
Oh yeah, there's that one. There's the man-made moon. There's the projected moon. There's the space station moon.
Hang it. Dude.
Flat mooners.
So we can't win.
Yes, we could.
That'd be a new sitcom with Jackie Gleason and Audrey Meadows, the Flat Mooners.
The Flat Mooners.
Oh, shoot.
So listen to this. The moon is not a solid body. It is clearly circular, but not spherical. It is largely transparent and completely self-luminescent, shining with its own unique light.
How many subscribers does this page have?
Shout out to the Flat Mooners.
95 people.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
All right. We have to remember to throw a link to the podcast in there because we're shouting them out. What's up, Flat Moon community?
Oh, wait, maybe I looked at the wrong one. This is the official Flat Moon Society.
Oh, official.
They still have 96 people.
Yeah, 96 people.
It's the same group.
Probably.
Hello, Flat Mooners of a different Facebook group than the one we were talking to 10 seconds ago.
And they only have 99 followers, where the other one had 100.
Oh, did they?
That's all right. We've got to start somewhere. We're willing to...
Should we just go down the list and look at the memes they've got posted there and correct grammar and spelling?
No, you don't correct grammar and spelling and... Come on, Mark.
Yes, I'm that guy.
Not there. Not there. Look, this is the way I feel. If someone typed it with their thumbs, all bets are off. Like, all bets are off. If you're sitting in front of a keyboard, maybe punctuate, but...
You know what? I'm sorry. It just doesn't scream intelligence at me. If you can't figure out how to type the word your, Y-O-U,
oh, all right, yeah,
R-E, you're not convincing me of your intelligence.
No, hold on. Can I push back on that though?
I was
Mark?
No,
I can't.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is your show, Elo. You can rebuttal.
So this is just my rebuttal. My rebuttal is I get it. It's when you read something like your instead of you are, and the person's trying to say the opposite. It sounds, but there are people that are not good in okay, you might be very bad at the writing and this and that, but you could be a freaking you could be a freaking guy up in the hills and not have the learning, actual education, but you can be intelligent. Not, like, in other words, maybe you weren't formally trained. That could happen, and yet be a very, lucid human being. No,
2 words for you: spell check.
Yeah, but see that's one of the problems is your doesn't correct. That's to me a lot of the times, like, I make those mistakes sometimes, and it's like it's just failure to read.
But
that's why you always get, whenever you talk to me, you always get that like little after a paragraph here,
but you're not, yeah, exactly. But you're not trying to convince me of a scientific point.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Okay, they're trying to convince me of a scientific point here, and they can't get down basic spelling and punctuation.
Are they really?
I'm really not. You're
are
not.
They really trying to convince us?
Impressing me.
Are they, or are they just trying to have some fun with these pictures?
When it says flat out, if you don't believe the Earth is flat, you're dumb. YOUR.
So they're saying
maybe it's a troll meme.
No, they're saying you're dumb. Like,
you're dumb. Yeah, my dumb what?
You have a dumb.
I own a dumb.
Right. And that's perfectly legitimate, man. No, I get it. If they're going to be doing this type of scientific thing, you would expect them to have some fundamentals to be able to ship ideas from A to B in a proper way that other people can understand it.
Yeah.
I get it. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to say, okay, we
have to communicate.
With the caveat of, you can go to a farmland in the middle of the country, and the people there, let's say, are farmers, and they're not intelligent in respect to a specific topic, but they could have IQs that are amazing, but their whole focus is on plowing, the land, and just, I don't know if I'm making sense or not. I just, sometimes we're not trained in a certain area, but the potential is there, if that makes sense.
Then don't try to convince me of a scientific point, because you're not impressing me,
Yeah, well, no, I agree with you, but do you agree?
That's why I say I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Words mean things.
Right. Okay, so I concede to that, but do you concede to the fact that there could be could there be Aboriginal, or not Aboriginals, tribal people in the middle of the Brazilian jungle that don't know anything, but they're super brilliant, but they just live and they've never been exposed to you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, but they're not trying to convince me of a scientific point. My problem was not with the guy out there on the farm. My problem was with the one guy who posted that one line.
Okay, so in that case, it's like there's no excuse for the guy.
Sure, that's when you learned that in school. That was a formal letter. Let me capitalize this.
Exactly. I am that guy. I really am. That bugs me.
You know what, Mark?
I get it.
When I got to put on the good handwriting and whatnot, I make sure I get every comma, and just for good measure, I put in like 4 or 5 that you don't need.
Dude, I do that on Facebook. If I've got a long something, more than one sentence to type on Facebook, I put it in a word processor and spell check it, because my spelling is atrocious.
I have a big problem. Yeah, I have a big problem with the comma thing, because I want to say all this, but you have to reword it in a proper way. So the comma is like the perfect way to do it, because you just keep going. But it's not necessarily proper to do that either. You're supposed to construct we do shortcuts because we're freaking going back and you know what I'm saying? And that's and that's not totally right either. If somebody from the 1800s were to see that, well, they'd be flabbergasted.
Well, I don't think there was ever a time when it was perfect in every way. And I know it's never going to be perfect, but some things just jump out at me. When you're a musician, when you hear somebody singing off key,
yes,
that feeling you get, it just, if they hit a bad note, that kind of,
yeah,
that's the way I am with reading. And when something like that, there's a rhythm, there's a flow to each line, to each sentence. And when I come across that, it's like tripping over a rock out in the driveway, It interrupts the flow, it interrupts everything, and I go, yuck. I get that same feeling,
Yeah.
It's just, that's why, what can I say? It's, it's not done for all intensive purposes. It's not done maliciously.
Purposes. For all intensive purposes. I just want to say this thing, that it is a tough one. So I enjoy the Radio 610 here in Miami, late night, the conspiracy things. Was it Art Bell? Who was the original guy?
Oh, yeah. On Coast to Coast AM, it was Art Bell.
So yeah. I enjoyed that growing up. I didn't hear it all the time, but like you would get. And so I guess at the end of the day, it's like an entertaining thing. It's entertainment. But people do build society. There are many little cults around if the earth is this or the moon was that and this and that. I do find it incredibly fascinating. And it's kind of like, I want them to put forth the evidence that they have, and I want to hear the battle. And I find that process entertaining as heck. But it's unfortunate that by doing so, by me liking that, I'm all of a sudden, deemed, not necessarily by you guys, but just through the course of that type of conversation, that I'm, pretty much a flat earther. Well, I can't prove any of that. So anything I can't prove, I just leave it up to, it's a curiosity that I'm totally willing to vibe off and see what they have to say. But it doesn't mean that I believe it,
I may surprise you here because I used to like to listen to Art Bell too years ago. I remember when he first went syndicated. We were stationed over in Hawaii at the time. And I was working late at night and I'd get off work, and on the way home, I had a half-hour drive. That's who was on the radio. And it was entertaining stuff.
That's a fun drive.
But Art Bell, one thing about Art Bell, a lot of people thought he was goofy. A lot of people thought he was weird or what have you. But one thing he was, well, two things. He was an excellent interviewer, and he remained a skeptic. You had to prove it to him. And he shot so many holes in a lot of these conspiracy theories just by the way he would ask a question. Because he would go back and he would re-ask in a different way and listen for the stories to change. And he drew a lot of people out that way. But it was a very entertaining show. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
I had a similar situation, but it was leaving college at like 11 o'clock at night and driving home. But I listened to Loveline.
What's Loveline?
What's Loveline?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Dr. Drew, Adam Carolla.
I never listened to it. Is this on Sirius XM or something?
It was on TV too for a while.
Yeah, this was, They had a TV show, then they also had a radio show. So this would have been 2004.
Okay. I never saw that. I know who Adam Carolla is.
You know who Dr. Drew is too, if you saw him.
Dr. Drew's the skinny guy, right?
I guess.
I'm not that, I like the specific stuff, but I never really did that stuff. I really didn't.
I'm not saying that you liked it. I'm just saying that it was popular for a while. So you would probably be like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
No, I didn't. I know who Adam Carolla is because of YouTube. I never knew that. Like, I didn't.
Look at Rory's screen.
Let me see. I never saw that show.
Yeah, saw a commercial for it.
I didn't watch MTV.
Well, I mean, even if you did, this was pretty popular for a while.
Roommate has sex while she's in the room.
And you're complaining?
I think she's calling in to brag.
Jerry, jealousy rears its ugly head.
I never saw this show, guys. Don't underestimate so this was in the 2000s. I was over MTV by far.
Okay, again, I'm not saying that you were watching this show eating popcorn. I'm just saying that you might have been flipping through the channels and seen it. That's all. You may have been aware of it.
If the kid in the mountain saw it, you probably saw it.
Right, but you're see, that's what you're discounting a lot of things there. You're discounting the fact that I wasn't into this. I wasn't watching MTV. I'd watch the news back then, and I'd watch movies. I'd purchase DVDs when the DVDs had first come out and all that, but I did not watch this. I might have flipped through and saw this. I don't remember seeing this. But
you know why he doesn't like this? Because this is some 90s shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I just in the 90s, I
got it. You were off doing different. You were on your own trip.
I was on my own trip. I'm not saying it's crap. All the chicks that are popping up there seem to be cold, but that's a good thing.
It made for a good audio going home.
Awesome. And what were the topics on that?
Oh, everything, anything. You didn't know what you were going to get. Most of it dealt with, why is my body doing this after I had unprotected sex?
Oh, no.
Yeah, basically that show, the moral of that story was wrap it up twice, 3 times if it's really questionable. They would get talking, and it was good. It was a good mix because you had the Corolla, right? So you had the comedian.
Yeah.
And this is before he went on the trip that he's on now, and he was like super, like, I don't know, political or whatever. But you know what I mean? This is back when he was just a wise ass. So it was him, and then Dr. Drew, who was just drier than a popcorn fart. And they would talk about it, and he'd talk about like STDs and like things growing on people's things.
Things you wouldn't hear in like general conversation.
No, like this was not in the health class. Don't let this happen to you chapter. Like this was bad news. And he would get talking about it. He'd be like, maybe I'll just retire this thing. I don't know if I'm going to go. And that's awful. The fact that that's out there. Yeah, that was enough to make you want to hang it up.
Scratch.